You're listening to the In the Can Show, the only movie show that's smarter than your average podcast.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Get the latest in film reviews from inthecan.net, preventing mind vomits by recommending only the best. You're listening to the In the Can Show, and today we've got Stephen, whose jokes are above us all, Terrence, whose jokes are laughed at by the masses, and myself, Joel, who laughs at his own jokes. But today we're talking about something that is not funny. We are talking about Marvel, we're talking about Ant-Man, and Edgar Wright. And we're going to be talking about something that I've been feeling for a while, but most people haven't shared this opinion. And I'm saying it now, Marvel is evil. And
okay.
Well, they're in bed with Disney, so that's pretty much a given.
That's true as well. I mean, goes without saying they've been bought out by them. They sold out.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about everybody these days is saying, oh, well, we just want all of the franchises to go back to Marvel and they can do it. But think about Marvel sort of more pragmatically now.
Well, that's something I mentioned in the why superheroes are overrated or superhero films. And one of them was mentioned when I wanted X-Men to go back to Marvel. I kind of pulled back on that statement because of what Marvel's up to these days, which doesn't look all that grand.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but is it just me or is Marvel just making the same movie over and over again?
Yeah, formula after formula. Yeah, it's like an action film formula.
Just all of them seem the same, and this tells me that they just don't care about their directors and their writers. They just want a particular movie that they know it sells, and I think that Edgar Wright with Ant-Man made a stand for that, and it sort of, it unveiled the horns of Marvel that we've sort of been trying to avoid looking at for a while.
Yeah, I saw in Simon Pegg's Twitter feed, he tweeted that I could not be more proud of my dear friend Edgar Wright as I am on this day. And this obviously, after he left, he walked away from the Ant-Man movie. So I think, and then Edgar Wright himself tweeted a picture of Buster Keaton holding a cornetto, obviously referring to his Cornetto trilogy. And we know Buster Keaton had a big deal with MGM Pictures. Yeah. He basically sold his soul. And he said it was the worst mistake he ever made in his career.
And I think that it tells a story of the bigger picture here, and that's that Marvel does not like to let their directors have any reign at all. I mean, if you look at their movies, you just don't see that style. You don't see the director's unique style, or even the writers. Yeah. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy director it's James Gunn, Peter Gunn. I don't remember.
James Gunn.
No, it's definitely not Peter Gunn. But but yeah, he said something along the lines of, well, they just weren't a fit. Well, maybe they could have been a fit, but Marvel just being a douchebag in this case.
They apparently rewrote most of his script that he'd been working on for years.
Well, that's got to be a sucker punch.
Yeah, always the creative differences line that they always use.
And it's a sucker punch to the fans, wouldn't you say? I mean, we kind of were hyped up for this because we had an idea of what he was going to do with Ant-Man. Like, it was going to be sort of quirky, what we expect from Edgar Wright.
I actually read somewhere that after they split, they said they split amicably and that Marvel already has someone in line to replace him. So I don't know if they were thinking about this from quite an early stage already or not.
No, apparently Kevin Feige was very happy with the script at one point in the relationship, and then obviously the wheels of industry started turning and they did a 360 on him. So
it's just, it's sort of like what happens in a series when like one of your characters dies and you sort of were attached to them, and that's what I'm seeing here with this. I mean, wouldn't you say it's just they've sort of cut off the sort of heart of the movie?
But is that a Marvel thing or a Disney thing, or do we
Is
not
there even such a
distinguish
thing as
between the
Marvel?
two. Yeah.
Does
that's,
Marvel
it's-
exist? It's just their properties now. And what do you think this could spell? Is this like a downturn for Marvel? Do you think that it's going to negatively affect them? I wouldn't know if it'll affect sales at all, but
Doubt it.
just in the fans' mind, because everybody sort of had this sort of boner for Marvel, and now it's like we're just seeing this sort of like greedy, evil sort of empire that's just been taking over the whole show, really.
But that's just Hollywood, man. That's just the movie industry. You know.
But they seem to be like, they want to be fan pleasers. They want to be people that please, okay, their pockets firstly, we know that.
Yeah,
But
of course.
they've always sort of managed to hit like a good sort of ratio between fan service and just general audience approval.
But-
Well, yeah, but they've also tripped up the fans in a few occasions. I think the biggest one was Iron Man 3. And the whole Mandarin, the way they handle Mandarin. But yeah, then they kind of backtracked a little bit, try to patch things up. But you just get the sense that they're kind of losing that sort of respect for the fans, I suppose.
they're losing the edge. That's I hear that's what people are thinking. I mean, it's a crushing blow. It's the last thing that you want to hear, because people, at least fans of Marvel and Ant-Man, I don't know how many Ant-Man fans there really are, but I think that they were at least, tentatively excited for it, and that's it. They've they've sort of shown that what their true colors are. Let's just put it that way.
I was funnily enough reading an article just before this podcast, and I don't think that this is the start of the clashes for Marvel. The article said there were problems with Kenneth Branagh as well on Thor, which is why I didn't return for the sequel. Joe Johnston the same for Captain America, which actually turned out for the better. I can't say the same for Thor: Dark World. That's one of my least favorite Marvel films. And then the director of Monster, starring Charlize Theron, was hired for Thor 2 and then fired. Edward Norton clashed with Marvel during post on The Incredible Hulk, was replaced by Mark Ruffalo for the character's return in the Avengers. Terrence Howard replaced by Don Cheadle in Iron Man sequels. And then Drew Goddard was replaced as showrunner by Steven Esther Knight for Marvel's upcoming Netflix series Daredevil. Yeah. And then Goddard is working on Sony's Sinister Six now.
So,
but then there's that trend. I mean, like you say, with all their movies, the only director that they've retained is Joss Whedon. And I think it's specifically because the Avengers 2 is such a big film and they need that sort of continuity to handle it.
They're giving him his own sort of, they're giving him some license because he made so much money.
Yeah. He's returned their faith in him, and now they're doing the same. But even that, I don't think it's a guarantee that he'll return for the third installment.
I think
too
what
far down the line.
What we're going to have to wait for is Guardians of the Galaxy, because that looks like Marvel's sort of black sheep. So after we see what they do with that one, we'll see exactly how much creative freedom there is in the Disney Marvel merger.
Yeah, I think if it's a success, then it'll sort of perhaps broaden their horizons a bit further. But I don't see it being a flop at all.
Well, in the end, what's wrong with Marvel, whether they're evil or not, is the same thing that we always discuss about Hollywood in general. So the only difference is that now they've just sort of made the public more aware of it, and thanks to Twitter.
I think it's because they came in as the small guy, moving in with the big Hollywood wigs, and now they have to learn the industry quite quick. And then, of course, with the help of Disney, so they're now sort of becoming the big shark They realize with all the success and the billions that they're earning, they can now push their weight a bit.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the In the Can show. If you enjoyed what we were talking about, remember to like our video, rate it, and of course subscribe so that you can catch the next episode every single Wednesday. If you're feeling a little bit chatty, you can always just hit us up on our social networks. We're available on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Tumblr, all the most popular of social networking areas, and of course our website inthecan.net. Until next week, stay tuned.